Sarasota.
94.3 WRHD HD1, Farmville, Greenville. The exclusive home for Pirate Athletics. 94.3 The Game. It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
Okay, welcome in. It is Thursday, 25th day of May. We're looking at the Thursday before the big Memorial Day holiday weekend, and unfortunately, it's going to be marred with wet weather. Stop if you've heard this before. In fact, it's already raining along the coast in some spots. So beautiful night for our concert on the Common. We'll tell you about that in a little bit, and very excited today. Friend of the program, best-selling author John Feinstein's got a new book on David Faraday, and it is out. And he has that for us. A lot of other things to talk about as well, including the game that would not end yesterday. Pirates endured nearly 5 hours of delays yesterday in rallying to beat Cincinnati and end the Bearcat season 9-6 down in Clearwater in the AAC Conference Tournament. Pirates got to the fourth inning, and then weather halted the game there. What was that? Some 4+ hours of a rain delay. And then when they finally fired it back up around 10 till 9 last night, I thought, okay, I'll give this a whirl. And then they had the power surge, and that put the lights out in the stadium. So I tapped out at that point. I was not going to try to stay up and make my way through that because at that point you didn't know how long that was going to be. But 5 hours of delays, ECU was able to persevere. So the Pirates' off day is today. They get UCF next. How about those USF Bulls? South Florida, the 8th seed, run-ruled UCF today, 15-4. South Florida with 19 hits, in the game today. They have been unreal, 12 out of 24 with runners on today, and trying to see how many home runs they hit in the game. But amazing stuff for South Florida. Only hit one home run in the game and scoring 15 runs. Wow. That was Betancourt who hit the homer. So that was the final there. The other final out of the American was the game that was supposed to be played after ECU and Cincinnati last night. They ended up moving it to 9 this morning, which is probably the best thing to do, especially given that second delay where the lights went out due to the power surge at the ballpark, and it was Houston 4-3 this morning over Wichita State. Wichita made it a game in the 9th, but could not tie and take a lead. So in that one, Houston advances. Wichita State's season, because they were both in the losers bracket, is done, finished. And so the Pirates will get UCF tomorrow for the right to play at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. So whoever's producing that from our side of things, bring your coffee because you will, the Pirates win tomorrow afternoon. You'll be turning it around bright and early. A little breakfast and baseball on Saturday. Again, if the Pirates win tomorrow, today they're off day in Clearwater. So we'll be here tomorrow afternoon live for you right here. We're working on finalizing some guests. Looks like Jay Sunholder may be with us tomorrow. Sonny did a lot of the games with me on ESPN Plus this year, so we'll get his thoughts on this, and we'll see. We'll kind of go from there. Depends on when the Pirates are playing and if we're able to get or we'll talk to anybody else. We'll see. But East Carolina will try to get to the semifinal round Saturday, and they've got to knock off UCF, a team they swept in Greenville earlier in the year. So we'll see how that goes. I'm looking Well, let's do let's get some of the audio, the post-game audio, before we get into some of the projections and all that. So we'll do that right now with our Pirate Report. Here we go.
And now, Patrick Johnson with today's Pirate Report on the flagship station of the ECU Pirates, 94.3 The Game.
Coach Godwin, his opening statement following the Pirate win.
Yeah, I told the guys before we played today that back in 2021 we won the first 2 games at South Florida. We played 4 games and lost the last 2, and then we got 10-run ruled in the first game. We were the 1 seed, Memphis was the 8 seed, and it was a bullpen day, kind of like today. And we got up 11-1 against Cincinnati, and the final ended up being 13-9. So I told them it was going to be a battle. Obviously, I didn't know we were going to have a rain delay for 4 or 5 hours, but man, Danny Beal was special, Carter Spivey was special, and then the big horse, Trey Savage, was outstanding.
Big horse. That's it's an old Coach O saying there. Big horse. Coach Godwin explains what won the Pirates the game.
Yeah, both sides. Their guy, I think it was White, was really, really good. I think he probably got a little tired. We were able to get some walks and able to get a run to tie the game, and then we were able to manufacture a couple runs. Starling moves the baseball. Who's just running hard the whole time and score 2 runs, go up 2, and then in the last inning we're able to manufacture. Carter leads us off with a single. Moreland walks. Riley Johnson gets on a bunt that they misplay, which was a hit, and then we were able to score 1. So all those runs were very crucial.
And he talked about all of the energy from the dugout yesterday.
Yeah, I thought the dugout was outstanding all game, and we made a point of emphasis on that, and we just need to keep doing that.
And then Coach Godwin explains the decision to take Spivey out. Cut 4.
Yeah, we were hoping that Spivey could get through it, but, we didn't make a play behind him. And then we walked the guy, 3-2. And, Spivey's out there. He's gutting it out. He still wanted to be out there. But knew Trey was fresh, and Spivey had done his job. And, Trey's got strikeout stuff. And I think he punched out the side. So that was pretty special.
And then Coach Godwin talked about Danny Beal's performance.
Just those multiple pitches for strikes, different arm angles. Of course, he's got a lot of confidence right now. I mean, who wouldn't, the way he's been pitching? And hell, he wanted to start today. He went to Coach Knight and told him he could start. And, of course, we didn't want him to do that. But he's really gutting it out. His landing knee gets really sore after he pitches a lot. And you can tell if you know what you're looking for that he's not 100%, but he's out there just gutting it out. And we appreciate that.
More from Coach Godwin here, but Danny Beal yesterday with the middle relief, 2 1/3 innings, 4 strikeouts for the Pirates. He allowed just 1 hit. Spivey goes an inning and 2/3, gets credit for the win. He moves to 7-3, walked 1, struck out 3, and then Trey Savage, who we'll hear from here in a second, came on and worked a 1-2-3, striking out the side, 9th inning to earn his first save of the season. So the Pirate bullpen, again, was outstanding, as it has been here at times this year. They've had times where they've looked a little tired, but they have done a really good job by and large, and that is something that Coach Godwin talks about. He credits the staff for the bullpen always being ready.
Well, our athletic training staff and Kevin Young's being with us, a physical therapist. I mean, I can't tell you how many hours they spend on our guys, especially our pitchers, with their arms and the massages and the BFR and everything that goes into it. And, Coach Wilson, our strength coach, having these guys physically prepared, and Coach Knight having them mentally prepared that they want to go out there and take the ball. So a lot of tough guys showed up today.
And Coach G says he's proud of the team for dealing with all the adversity.
Well, this team's been through pretty much anything you can go through in a season. I mean, we've played 3 games in one day. We've had a 5-hour rain delay. We've had the lights go out. Pretty much, not every player, but Wilcoxon's missed time. Jenkins Cowart's missed time. Starling's missed time. Savage has missed time. Sailor's missed time. And this team just keeps showing up, and that's the thing I'm most proud about.
Speaking of Savage, Trey Savage says he was amped to be out there in the 9th.
Yeah, it's been just about a year since I've done that, but I was adrenaline was running through my veins. I mean, I can't. My heart was beating a mile a minute, and I was just excited to be out there and help my team win.
And he talked about how that adrenaline helped him in his outing.
That had a lot to do with the adrenaline I was feeling because as a starter, you don't get too much of that because you got to span it out over a long period of pitches. But yeah, I felt really good. The fastball was good. All speed was good as well.
And Trey Savage says he missed being this kind of pitcher.
The coaches were just making sure I felt good and I was ready to go. That was the biggest part. But told me that the first thing my heart sank because I was so excited. I mean, I miss being this kind of pitcher, but I also love starting.
All right, Trey Savage there who picked up the save. So D1 Baseball came out. They started the week with their projections Monday. They still came out with their Wednesday midweek projections. And East Carolina is still a 2 seed in those midweeks, according to the projections from D1 Baseball and the Field of 64. They have placed the Pirates in the Coral Gables region. So ECU would be down in Florida. Miami would be the number 1 seed in the host and the 13 national seed. So you'd have the Miami 1, East Carolina 2 in the Coral Gables regional. TCU out of the Big 12 would be 3rd, and then Oral Roberts, who's got a pretty good team, would be at the 4 seed. And so that would be opposite on the national seeding bracket of the Baton Rouge regional, LSU, the 4 overall. Nicholls State is in there, or Nichols, I guess is what they go by now. Washington, who's been playing really great of the Huskies lately, and then Texas Tech, who continues to show up as a 3 in a lot of the projections. So that's the latest today. Campbell is the number 2 in the Clemson regional. Clemson's 5th now, according to D1 Baseball, their projections. Today, Campbell would be the 2 seed there. Coastal is the number 9 national seed. Virginia is the number 8 national seed, but Coastal would have Indiana, one-time Pirate opponent this year, NC State, another Pirate opponent, and Fairfield in the Conway Regional, according to D1 Baseball. Of course, Wake Forest remains number 1 there. South Carolina is the 15 seed. UNCW is the 4 seed in that, according to D1 Baseball, in that regional, in Columbia, North Carolina, and Grand Canyon, 2 and 3 respectively. So earlier in the week, and I don't think they've updated this since we started the show. I looked at it and pulled this up right before we came on. But as of Monday, Baseball America, who puts out their own projections, also had the Pirates as a 2 seed. They had them at Clemson, which would be interesting because of the Eric Bakich, Nick Schnabel connection with Cliff Godwin. And that, according to Baseball America, to start the week, Clemson was the number 6 national seed. So you kind of see where this is lining up now. That loss really, I don't know if it sealed the fate, but I think it probably gave any hope that was out there that the Pirates might be able to do something from achieving that. So that is the deal. Now, look, you still win the conference tournament. There's going to be teams that are going to be falling and being eliminated. There's teams already bounced that are top 25 caliber teams from the SEC tournament. All the other tournaments out there, the ACC is making some adjustments because of the rain that's coming into the weekend. So they're even talking about with the Atlantic Coast Conference just having whoever finished first is the automatic qualifier, and that would be Wake Forest, because they may not be able to finish their tournament in Durham because of the weather. All right, so that's the latest. We've also got that D1 baseball projection up for you on, our social media, at Twitter, at 943 The Game, and on our Facebook page as well. The sports gambling. So yesterday, and again, we didn't have a show yesterday. We weren't scheduled to have a show. The rain delay, we can't anticipate that. I had other things I had to do. Would have happily jumped on and tried to fill some time. Done it before, but it just didn't play in the cards. When I have an open day, I kind of turn my attention to other things I have to do, and yesterday was one of those things. So I'm looking at what went down with sports gambling yesterday and today. We've got a cut of a report from WREL. Now, the report is from yesterday, the televised report, the thing we're going to have an audio cut for you. But the state Senate is planning to legalize mobile sports wagering and, in some select locations, in-person sports betting next week. The timeline on legislation has been discussed for more than 2 years. It looks like this is going to be voted on, according to Phil Berger, who is the president pro tem of the Senate. He's the Senate leader. This will be voted on floor votes on May 31st and June 1st, so next Wednesday and Thursday. After this is gone through the rules and finance committees, it will hit the floor. They anticipate it'll get through the finance. They anticipate it'll get through the rules in the Senate, and will be a little closer to sports gambling becoming a reality. There were some changes to what the Senate has done. So I'm going to play this cut for you from the WREL report. I believe this is Laura Leslie reporting from the legislature, and then what she maybe doesn't cover in this that's germane, I'll make mention of. One thing I could think of for sure that's big for ECU. But here is Laura Leslie from WREL, who covers the legislature, on that yesterday.
Senator Tim Moffitt said online sports betting is common in North Carolina, even though it's officially against state law. He compared it to the Prohibition era in the 1930s.
When we have essentially banned something, but our folks are participating in that and ignoring the law. And that's where we are today.
The latest version of the bill would make it legal to bet on professional, college, and Olympic sports using various online gambling apps. It would also allow you to bet in person using cash at betting windows at professional sporting events. Venues like PNC have already started planning for that. Betting on horse racing would become legal too.
So that's one of the big, two of the changes there she covered. Horse racing seems to be something that somebody must want to do or get behind because that's all of a sudden come up. But being able to place bets with cash rather than through the app or with a card at a sporting event, say a game at Bank of America Stadium, or if you went to a Hurricanes game or a Hornets game. The Senate also raised the tax rate by operators from 14% to 18%. That's different from the House version. It's a 4% bump. We talked about money going to HBCUs and smaller colleges in the state. That same money in the Senate version was included going to East Carolina and Appalachian State. So ECU, under this agreement, would get $300,000 a year money from the coffers from that tax rate. Now, somebody put in an amendment to make sure Charlotte got included in that. So basically, every institution in the state that's not in the ACC, public institution in the state that's not in the ACC, would be eligible to get the money that would be to the tune of $300,000 a year. And hey, the more the merrier. The $300,000 in Greenville with the UCU athletic department would go, I'm sure, a long way. The House is just going to wait and see what the Senate passes, what that looks like. And our guy, Jason Sain, who's been the lead sponsor in the House, says that he has kept the proponents aware of their changes throughout the process. So, again, we're moving the ball ever so slowly down the field as the sausage is being made. All right, a timeout, and we will come back. We got John Feinstein with us today. He's got a new book out on David Faraday, the great golf broadcaster, witty guy. We love having Feinstein on. So John Feinstein will be with us a little bit later on. And right after this timeout, we'll tell you about Concert on the Common with the Band of Oz tonight.
We're back in minutes with more of the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
You should go have that tested.
Make sure to listen or watch now on the new IBX Media app. Get it now in the App Store or Google Play.
Inner Banks Media's Concert on the Common season continues.
Are you ready? Make some noise. 1, 2, 3.
Enjoy live music music with your friends and family, along with adult beverages and great food on Greenville's Town Common.
The next band to hit the stage at the Greenville Toyota Amphitheater is Beach music legends, the Band of Oz, May 25th.
This year will also feature music from Landslide, a tribute to Fleetwood Mac, the Legacy Motown Review, The Embers featuring Craig Woolard, and the Leonard Skinner Tribute Band, Tuesday's Gone.
Details at concertonthecommon.org.
Special thanks to the City of Greenville and the Junior League of Greenville.
Concert on the Common is sponsored by ECU Health, Michelob Ultra, Pitt Greenville Airport, Greenville Toyota, The Air Doctor, Greenville Utilities, Sir Richie Law Firm, Sawyer's Fun Park, Holly Piland State Farm Insurance, Eastern Plumbing, Town Bank, Specialty FDR, Optimum, Wells Roofing and Gutters,
and Inner Banks Media.
Need $1,000 to $10,000 immediately for a gift for someone special, car repairs, or unexpected expenses? Time Financing Service offers competitive loan rates. Apply online and get your answer in less than an hour in most cases. Then you can pick up the cash at any of our 24 convenient locations. Apply online 24/7 at timefinancing.com. That's timefinancing.com.
Time Financing Service.
All loans subject to current credit policy of Time Financing Service. 1 hour loan approval and same-day cash in most circumstances. Exceptions may apply.
Chico's Mexican Restaurant is where the fiesta never ends. Grab your amigos and head to Chico's every Wednesday for shrimp tacos for $11.99. Plus Wednesdays means all Mexican imports for just $2.99. Thursdays, enjoy your favorite beef, chicken, or vegetable fajitas for only $11.99. For Mexican food and fun, it's got to be Chico's Mexican Restaurant in downtown Greenville and online at chicosrestaurant.com. Chico's, where the fiesta never ends.
My daughter Ava is 3 years old, and she's been at Children's World since she was about 6 months. She calls it camp because that's what it feels like to her. She gets to learn, but she also gets to play, like really play. She gets to be a kid. Ava absolutely loves Children's World, and I love the peace of mind it brings me. Not just the safety of the campus, but the amount of work and dedication that goes into things like development, communication, nutrition, and activity. When she turns 5, she'll definitely attend Walton Academy, which is part of Children's World. It's the same amazing people. Best of all, the values are the same. This isn't the traditional style of teaching. It focuses on the whole child and places a greater value on the process of learning. You know, when I was growing up, I got an education. But Ava, she's getting knowledge, confidence, problem-solving skills, an entire learning experience that's centered on her. That means everything to me.
Building minds with a creative and engaging curriculum. Children's World Learning Center and Walton Academy, Greenville.
Children's World and Walton Academy.
You ready for this?
Oh, I'm very ready. Okay, ready?
You ready? Streaming to the world at 943thegame.com. This is the Patrick Johnson Show. Now in all his glory, here's the P-Man.
All right, another concert on the Common. And look, the way the holiday weekend is looking, the long weekend, the kickoff to summer, this is really one of the few things you're going to be able to do outdoors. So what better way to kind of get the gateway of the long Memorial Day weekend than do so by having concert on the Common, which is absolutely free out at the Town Common in Greenville, the Greenville Toyota Amphitheater. Mark Miller is with us from 107.9 WNCT. Mark and Laura in the mornings, the multiple-time show of the year in the state of North Carolina. I'm going to demand a recount one of these years, Miller. I'm just going to do it.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Let's just be happy with what we have, sir.
So when WTIB won the Station of the Year, I went to the event, and they have these name tags on. And Miller looks like a five-star general with all the ribbons and, superlatives he had on his name tag. I mean, that was weighing you down. I was concerned about your posture. You had so much on there. There was
a lot of hardware, Patrick. There was a lot. But I will tell you that a lot of those things did not apply to me, and I just found them and added them to my my lapel there just to make myself seem more important.
That's the way to do it. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are classy. There's no doubt. Okay, so we've got one of the institutions in beach music performing for free, live and in color in Greenville tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the night tonight here at the Town Common. You got the Band of Oz. What more needs to be said? Legends in their time, the Band of Oz, taking the stage in about 35 minutes or so, and we've got a nice crowd out here right now. Okay, there are parts of eastern North Carolina. In fact, I was 20 minutes away, and I got outside. I went to get in my car, and it was raining. But it is not raining here.
Okay.
It is raining where you are, and the forecast is not calling for it over anything that's going to shut this thing down. We have got a nice dry afternoon here at the town common, and we've got a nice crowd that is not worried about that because they got a free show with one of the best beach music bands out here, and we've got some food, we've got some drinks, we've got all kinds of cool sponsors with the tchotchkes, Patrick, the tchotchkes. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Did
Yeah.
you get his word? I don't even know. Yeah.
Yes, that's the right word. The great Mark Miller, Mark and Laura, the award-winning morning show, the best show in North Carolina on radio is Mark Miller's with us. The award-winning Mark Miller from 107.9 WNCT is with us here as we have concert on the Common. All right, the Junior League of Greenville is selling beverages, including brewskis. So no coolers. No, we got
no
your drinks.
Coolers,
We got to
don't
pay
worry
for the
about
bands.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll take care of the alcohol. It's here, the adult beverages, as they say, and all of the delicious food that lines the street right up from the town common. You get to take your pick, and you're going to be good to go.
Awesome. Miller, I understand you guys at sort of intermission, you can enter a raffle and get some tickets. You guys are giving away Aerosmith tickets for crying out loud.
This time it's we've got different tickets this week. We've got tickets.
Right, but you had Aerosmith tickets. You had Aerosmith tickets, which those tickets are impossible to get.
Right. Well, we gave a bunch of them away last concert in the Common, but we will have tickets throughout the summer to different shows, possibly some more Aerosmith tickets. In fact, I'm pretty sure as the shows go on, we'll have some more of those. But
what do you got tonight? What do you have tonight?
Yeah, Darius Rucker's coming July 21st to Live Oak Bank Pavilion in Wilmington. And if you would like to see Hootie himself, formerly of Hootie the Blowfish, now his awesome country career that continues, you can check him out. We also have the Last Summer on Earth tour, which they've had many years in a row now. It's a very misleading title. Bare Naked Ladies are the headliners of that tour, and that's always a fun one. So you can register for those, and at intermission, or as you sports guys say, halftime, we will give those tickets away.
So Darius Rucker has blocked me on Twitter. Did you know that, Miller?
I did not know that, but I'm not shocked.
Yeah, he blocked me on Twitter, and it was very innocuous. I just tweeted
at
a fellow.
Why would that happen, PJ?
I tweeted at a fellow towards a colleague that he was no Lionel Richie. I forget the context of why, but he's not. Darius is no Lionel Richie, and that's not a slight to Darius.
It's a really odd. Well, how are we comparing I need more context on this, but I think he was in the right to block you, to be honest with you.
Really?
Inconceivable.
Because I said he's no Lionel Richie? He's not.
Yes, it seems. I can't think of a reason why you would go there.
Yeah.
I mean, who is Lionel Richie? That's the thing. That's the problem. You're kind of right about that. But, why are we even going there?
Well, because they were saying Darius would come out and do a song that Lionel Richie he'd play the Lionel Richie part. He was opening for somebody, and I guess somebody had a duet with Lionel Richie. It was a country. And I said something like, "Child, please, Darius is no Lionel Richie." And it was meant as just a ha-ha. That's all it was, is a ha-ha, because he's not.
Wow.
He's
he
not.
Blocked you? Oh, my goodness.
For that.
Listen, you don't mess with. Well, I almost want you to win these tickets so you can go there and confront him on this.
No. Trust me. Neither one of us wants that.
Backstage, you're like, "Hey, Darius."
Yes, yeah. Why did you block me? I think we'd get along. I think we'd get along famously if we ever met. All right. All right. So the Band of Oz tonight at the Town Common in Greenville Toyota Amphitheater. Miller, lay out the scene for us here. Give the hard sell.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a little chilly with a little wind, but we still have that sort of live music summertime vibe. you want to kick off that Memorial Day weekend so bad, right? You want to get to it already. This is the perfect opportunity to kick it off just a little early, and we won't tell anybody. It is a free show. Bring a lawn chair. You'll be up. You'll be shagging. You'll be dancing. You'll be having yourselves a fantastic time. Get some food, some drinks, and hang with us. Come up to the tent. I'd love to say hi to you, and I'd love to talk sports with you. Just not with Patrick anymore because I forgot, dude. I forgot what happens when I talk to you. Do you remember this last year? Anytime I talk to you, something bad would happen almost immediately following, and then true to form, 2 weeks ago, it happened.
Right. Your guys got bounced. Got bounced by the Celtics. Yeah. And then they gave up the other night to the Celtics. But they did win. They won Game 4.
They did win Game 4, but I looked at games 1 through 3, and I looked at those box scores. I'm like, where was this the final 5 minutes of Game 6?
Exactly.
Ugh. But I won't talk about that because your audience
3.
doesn't care. Like, that's so in the past now.
Ah, yeah. That's so last month is what it is. All right.
Now I'm just focused on the Pirates here.
There you go. All right. Hey, Miller, great to talk to you, and have fun out there tonight.
You too, P-Man. Talk to you soon, okay, bud?
All right, there he goes, the great Mark Miller, 107.9 WNCT. It's Concert on the Common, the Band of Oz, Greenville Town Common, plenty of parking, beer for sale, lots of great eats. Go out and have a big time tonight to kick off the summer season with the Band of Oz. No better way to do it than our Concert on the Common, and thanks to all of our great sponsors who helped put it on. All right, we're going to get John Feinstein on the horn next and talk to him about his brand new book, friend of the show. We've had John on many times. Looking forward to talking to John in just a little bit. But right now we go to Chris Cook with a 94.3 The Game sports update. Cookie?
Pirates got the job done in the American Athletic Conference Baseball Championship with a 9-6 win over Cincinnati in an elimination game Wednesday at Baycare Ballpark. ECU dealt with nearly 5 hours of delays during the day as weather halted the game in the 4th inning before the lights then went out in the stadium later in the game. ECU head coach Cliff Godwin on the wing.
Before we played today, that back in 2021, we won the first 2 games at South Florida. We played 4 games and lost the last 2, and then we got 10-run ruled in the first game. We were the 1 seed, Memphis was the 8 seed, and it was a bullpen day, kind of like today. And we got up 11-1 against Cincinnati, and the final ended up being 13-9. So I told them it was going to be a battle. Obviously, I didn't know we were going to have a rain delay for 4 or 5 hours, but man, Danny Bill was special, Carter Spivey was special, and then the big horse, Trey Savage, was outstanding.
Coach Godwin also talked about his decision to put in Trey Savage over Carter Spivey.
Yeah, we were hoping that Spivey could get through it, but, we didn't make a play behind him. And then we walked the guy, 3-2. And, Spivey's out there. He's gutting it out. He still wanted to be out there, but knew Trey was fresh and Spivey had done his job. And, Trey's got strikeout stuff. And I think he punched out the side, so that was pretty special.
ECU went 7-0 against Cincinnati in 2023 and brought its winning streak in the overall series to 13. East Carolina advances in the bracket to face the loser of Thursday's game between number 4 seed UCF and number 8 seed South Florida on Friday at 1 o'clock. ACC Tournament Baseball resumes today. Top-ranked Wake Forest is set to take on Pittsburgh. NC State will square off against Miami, and North Carolina is taking on UVA. The Wolfpack and the Tar Heels both began pool play with a win on Tuesday. Ethan Hall has committed to play golf at ECU for the 2023-24 season, according to head coach Kevin Williams Thursday afternoon. Hall will join Drew Green, Adam Lindermark, Drew O'Neal, and Nathan O'Neal, who signed in November for the upcoming season. Tomorrow, Duke plays Miami to finish off their ACC tournament trip. Duke is 2 wins away from reaching the Women's College World Series. The Blue Devils will begin a best-of-3 series against Stanford in the Durham Super Regional tomorrow afternoon. The winner will advance to the 8-team Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City. J.H. Rose looks for the sweep in the 3A Eastern Regional Final as they travel to Southern Lee. The Rampants won Game 1 in a best-of-3 series after a 5-4 win on Tuesday in Greenville. A bill that would legalize sports gambling in North Carolina was approved by a Senate committee yesterday, but it came with some changes. They include an increased taxes on betting from 14 to 18%. The new version would also allow the use of cash when placing bets at a live sporting event such as horse racing.
Senator Tim Moffitt said online sports betting is common in North Carolina, even though it's officially against state law. He compared it to the Prohibition era in the 1930s.
When we have essentially banned something, but our folks are participating in that and ignoring the law. And that's where we are today.
The latest version of the bill would make it legal to bet on professional, college, and Olympic sports using various online gambling apps. It would also allow you to bet in person using cash at betting windows at professional sporting events. Venues like PNC have already started planning for that. Betting on horse racing would become legal too.
The measure now moves to the full Senate for consideration. The Carolina Hurricanes season came to an end last night with a 4-3 loss to the Florida Panthers, completing a 4-game sweep of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Panthers scored the winning goal with just 4.3 seconds remaining in the game. The Panthers will take on either Las Vegas or Dallas in the Stanley Cup Finals. The Carolina Panthers are wrapping up their first week of OTAs. Carolina has an OTA session scheduled for today to end the week of practice. Top overall draft pick Bryce Young from Alabama says he's excited to work with this new coaching staff around head coach Frank Reich.
Yeah, I've definitely, I know very well about the staff, and I think that I've been able to talk to everyone in the organization, and it's so clear how much of a plan was behind it, from bringing in from Coach Reich, having the experience that he has, and building this staff that's been here, bringing in, helping to bring in and kind of mesh some offenses as well, with a lot of the stuff that they've done in the run game and pass game with play action stuff. And I'm obviously learning now the ins and outs of it, but I've been able to talk to everyone and to hear their philosophy, and I feel like it's an amazing opportunity for me.
The Panthers will continue workouts over the next couple weeks, leading to the team's mandatory minicamp that starts in June. In some more NFL news, former NFL cornerback Damon Arnett has pleaded not guilty in Nevada to felony charges, and his lawyer is challenging his indictment, alleging he displayed a handgun during an argument with Las Vegas Strip casino valets in January of 2022. And finally, second-year Washington Commanders tight end Armani Rogers, who the team anticipated becoming a bigger part of its offense this season, suffered a non-contact Achilles injury and is likely out for the entire 2023 season. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Update. This sports update is brought to you by the new IBX Media app. Listen to this and other shows such as Talk of the Town on the new free app from IBX Media for your smartphone. Now available on the App Store and on Google Play. More of the Patrick Johnson Show on the other side of this quick timeout right here on 94.3 The Game.
All things ECU at 943thegame.com.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
More of the P-Man coming up in minutes.
Inner Banks Media's Concert on the Common season continues. Are you ready?
Make some noise. 1, 2, 3.
Enjoy live music with your friends and family, along with adult beverages and great food on Greenville's Town Common.
The next band to hit the stage at the Greenville Toyota Amphitheater is Beach Music Legends, the Band of Oz, May 25th.
This year will also feature music from Landslide, a tribute to Fleetwood Mac, the Legacy Motown Review, The Embers featuring Craig Woolard, and the Leonard Skinner Tribute Band, Tuesday's Gone.
Details at concertonthecommon.org.
Special thanks to the City of Greenville and the Junior League of Greenville.
Concert on the Common is sponsored by ECU Health, Michelob Ultra, Pitt Greenville Airport, Greenville Toyota, The Air Doctor, Greenville Utilities, Sir Richie Law Firm, Sawyer's Fun Park, Holly Pilen State Farm Insurance, Eastern Plumbing, Town Bank, Specialty FDR, Optimum, Wells Roofing and Gutters,
and Inner Banks Media.
I'm with my health insurance agent, Bill Jenkins. Bill is an employee benefits specialist and life insurance agent from Town Insurance. Bill, give us an update on Town Insurance here in North Carolina.
Town Insurance is a top insurance and employee benefits agency in North Carolina and ranks in the top 50s nationwide. We have primary offices in Greenville, Kinston, Wilmington, Raleigh, and now Charlotte.
And Bill, what are areas Town Insurance specializes in?
With our experienced account management team, we specialize in employee benefits, benefits, including group medical, dental, life, vision, disability, and voluntary options for employees. We compare these options with several of the best carriers in the market and assist businesses on benefit administration as well as employee education and enrollments.
And how can a business best contact you to review their employee benefits program?
Give us a call, 252-756-8300.
Call today, as the best time is now to come to town.
Live life to the fullest. You hear that all the time, but it's easier said than done when you're in pain, right? Patrick Johnson here, QC Kinetics, in the business of giving people back their quality of life and providing much-needed relief for chronic joint pain. And it's not just providing that relief, but doing it in the most non-invasive way possible, using regenerative treatments from your body's own natural biologics. Where is your joint pain? In your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Well, QC Kinetics concentrates these impactful treatments right at the source of your pain, directly applying healing properties where you need them the most. And best of all, you walk into the office and walk right out after treatment. There's no surgery, no downtime, and patients are raving about the results. So what does living life to the fullest look like for you? Finally being able to play golf, hike, walk your dog, enjoy time with your family. Get started today with a call to QC Kinetics for your complimentary consultation. 252-765-PAIN. That's 252-765-PAIN.
Taking the rage out of your drive home.
You just cut me off! But it's no big deal.
Patrick Johnson on 94.3 The Game and the new IBX Media app.
The great John Feinstein, best-selling author, returns to the Patrick Johnson Show. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm good, Patrick. It's good to talk to you again, as always.
David Faraday is the subject of your latest book. It's out now, available everywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you buy books. JohnFeinstein.com or FeinsteinBooks.com, actually, is where you can go and get it as well. So, yeah, tell us about it. David Faraday, what? Obviously a fascinating personality in person to cover.
Yeah, I think that's the right word, fascinating. I've known David for more than 30 years, dating back to when he first came to the United States to play. I was researching A Good Walk Spoiled. David had been a hugely successful player in Europe. He'd won 5 times over there and had played on the 91 Ryder Cup team, the famous War by the Shore, and actually beat Payne Stewart, who was the U.S. Open champion at the time in the singles. So that's how good a player he was. But his wife left him, just left a note on the kitchen counter saying, move to Dallas, when he came home from a tournament with their 2 young boys. And David followed her to be with his boys to the U.S. and became part of the PGA Tour. And I got to know him over the next few years. And then, of course, as you know, he became a TV star. First with CBS and then with NBC and with his interview show, cleverly enough called Faraday on Golf Channel. And so I knew a lot about his life, about growing up during the troubles in Northern Ireland, about his alcoholism, about his awful first marriage, and also most tragically about the death of his son due to a drug overdose. So I knew there was a great story there. The big question was, would David be comfortable talking about all those things? And he was terrific, Patrick. I mean, he never backed away from any of the more difficult things in his life. And, of course, he was also hysterically funny along the way, because the 2 funniest people I've ever met in my life are Jim Valvano and David Faraday.
High praise for both, undoubtedly. John Feinstein is with us here. Faraday is the new book out, David Faraday's life, and it is raw and it is very real in a lot of ways. Was he very forthcoming? Do you hit him with that off the bat, those areas that have been troublesome in his life, or does it take a while to get there?
No, I mean he was actually better than me at the beginning, and I'll give you an example. As you know, David is, as I said, David is a friend of mine, and I would never do anything to hurt him. And he told me a story about being at the Masters, and it was a funny story because he finished his regular gig on Thursday at 7:00, and he was supposed to wait around to do the late night highlight show at 11:30 with Jim Nantz, and he was in a period where he was drinking. David's been on and off the wagon many, many times. And he had a few drinks before he drove his cart into Butler Cabin. And when he got to Butler Cabin, he thought, why don't I get my car out of the CBS lot and park it right next to the door of Butler Cabin so I can get out of here at midnight more quickly? A good thought, except that he ended up driving the car around Butler Cabin onto the par 3 course. They don't let carts on the par 3 course, much less a car. And he realized what he'd done, turned around, went back around Butler Cabin, and there were 2 police cars, lights flashing.
Yeah.
And sure enough, cop comes up to him. He rolls down his window, and he sees on the name tag that his name is Callahan O'Reilly, something Irish. And he thinks, maybe I can talk my way out of this Irishman to Irishman. And the cop's first question, naturally, is, "Sir, have you been drinking tonight?" And David, being David, looks at him and goes, "Well, with that first question, I can see why you've never passed the detective's test." And needless to say, he was in handcuffs a couple minutes later. And the cops called Jack Stevens, who was then the chairman of Augusta National, and said, "What do you want us to do with this guy?" And Jack Stevens said, "Just let him go," which tells you several things. One, that David had and has a unique knack for making people like him. Jack Stevens liked him. That's why he let him go. And, the members at Augusta, generally speaking, don't like anybody unless they're members. And so but the other thing was, David told me that story, and I said, "Are you sure you want me to put this in the book?" Because a little bit embarrassing, obviously. And he said, "John, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. We're not going to pull any punches." And that's the way he was throughout. Needless to say, it was extremely difficult for him to talk about the death of his oldest son, Shay. But he also set me up to talk to his other son, Rory, and his wife, Anita, and his daughter, Erin, in general, but also about that. And Rory, who was Shay's younger brother, was incredibly articulate, even sent me a copy of the eulogy that he did for his brother. And the reason he did the eulogy was because David was literally incapable of talking at that point. So, yeah, I mean, the cooperation I got from David, his family, his friends was just remarkable, I think.
John Feinstein, best-selling authors with this here. The new book on David Faraday is available Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you buy books, FeinsteinBooks.com as well. As we're talking with John, who's been good enough to give us some time here today. He's been out promoting the book and working real hard on it, so we really appreciate it anytime we can talk with the great John Feinstein. What about that period did he shine some light on with the death of his son? I mean, you said he was to the point he was inconsolable and not able to articulate, I guess, his feelings at that time. So, without giving too much away, what was it about that time that maybe he revealed that was maybe therapeutic for him in some way?
Well, I'm not sure how therapeutic anything can be when you lose a child.
Right, sure.
I mean, I have 3 children myself, and, and just the thought of it, I can't even think about it. But he said that what probably got him through it, and he still struggles with it, as you would think, 5.5 years later, were family and friends. Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, George Bush, too, were all on his show, his interview show. And all 3 of them reached out to him after Shay's death. And he said Bill Clinton called him and spent an hour with him on the phone. And I was fortunate enough to interview President Clinton for the book. And he told me that he kept trying to say to David, "Don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself." And at the same time, he knew that David would blame himself, because that's what a parent does. And but he said phone calls like that, the support he got, he was working at NBC at the time, from the NBC people, from Golf Channel people, and from friends, was extreme, as helpful as you could be in a circumstance like that. I don't think David's the same person now as he was before Shay's death. I mean, as I said, I've known him for 30 years.
Yeah.
And the humor is still there. He can still tell a funny story or make a funny crack, as well as anybody I know, as I mentioned. But there is a sadness about him. He told me he spends, at some point every day, he sits alone and cries. because he thinks about Shea, and he thinks about what Shea might have become if he was still alive, and still feels the guilt.
Yeah. And then it's just, 6 years ago almost?
It'll be 6 years in July, and again, there's no greater tragedy in life than that. None.
John Feinstein, the new book on David Faraday, is out everywhere you buy books now. A great read for the summer, especially as everybody likes to go through books and read books this time of year when they're on the beach or on vacation. So this would be an excellent one to read. How many people did you end up interviewing, John, for the book?
Oh, let me think. Probably about 60 or 70. I interviewed his entire family, including his mom, who's still alive, and his sister, older sister. And I interviewed, everybody from CBS he worked with, everybody from NBC he worked with. I interviewed friends of his from the tour. Sam Torrance is his best friend in life. They traveled together when they were both on the European tour. Sam, of course, was the Ryder Cup captain in 2006. And David tells a great story about the year he was on the Ryder Cup team, 1991. And in those days, the visiting team would always fly across the Atlantic on the Concorde. And they flew into the airport in Charleston on the Concorde. And David said he looked out the window of the airplane as they were landing, and there were thousands of people waiting, hanging on rafters all over the place. And he turned to Sam, who he was sitting with, and he said, "My God, I didn't realize the Ryder Cup was this big in the United States." And Sam looked at him and said, "They're here to see the blanking plane, you blanking idiot." And one of the few times David ever got caught in a joke. He's usually the jokester, not the jokey.
One of the funniest people in golf, in addition to Faraday, is John McGinnis, and they've done some shows together. And I was listening about a year ago to a show they were doing one day before a tournament. The PGA radio coverage. It might have been on Sirius or something like that. But
probably Sirius.
Yeah, David talked about he never plays anymore. Like he rarely picks up I mean, it may be a very simple answer. Why is that?
Yeah, there is a simple answer. He's had back troubles dating back to the 90s. His career was ended prematurely because of back issues, because of elbow issues, and because of his drinking, and because of his horrible first marriage. We should mention that too. But he has actually played a couple times in the last year or so.
Okay.
And said it went okay. He didn't play great or anything. He hadn't played for years, but he said it was nice to be back on a golf course. He can't do it on a regular basis. But David used to come to the charity event that Tom Watson and I ran to raise money for ALS research in the name of Tom's caddy and my friend Bruce Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
And he would speak at the dinner, but he couldn't play. He physically couldn't play. So what he would do is he'd get in a golf cart and ride around and make jokes about the celebrities who were playing.
Right.
And everybody loved it, of course. And I should mention, because I glossed it over a minute ago, it was Gary McCord who discovered David as a TV personality. Gary was in the locker room during a rain delay at the International in 1996 and heard David around a corner telling stories and thought, my God, this guy is really funny. He didn't know David. He'd never met him, but he introduced himself and said, look, we're going to have a long telecast tomorrow because of the rain delay. It was on USA. It was a Friday.
Yeah.
Why don't you come sit in the tower with me for a while? And David initially was hesitant, but he said, oh, what the heck? I'm playing in the morning. I'm going to miss the cut. His career was on the rocks at that point. Why not? And he went and did it. And Gary said that he'd never been with anybody smarter, more insightful, or funnier for those 2 hours. And when they were coming down the steps from the tower, he said, this is what you're going to do next. And I hope you'll consider CBS. Well, a year later, CBS was looking for, quote unquote, a foreign voice. And David was sitting in the bar at the hotel in Akron during the World Series of Golf. And as he said, I was still an athlete, so I was drinking Gatorade with my vodka. And two guys came up, Rick Gentile and Lance Barrow, and said, we're from CBS. And he swears that his first reaction was, "Oh God, 60 Minutes is doing an investigation into athletes who drink." Fortunately, they were there to offer him a job, and you know the rest of that story.
Yeah.
He was an instant star.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. So I mean, I guess he inevitably went fairly willingly into that vocation.
Well, at that point, he had lost his exemption to play on the U.S. tour.
Mm-hmm.
He was still exempt in Europe because he'd won 5 times over there and been a Ryder Cupper, but his young sons were living in Dallas.
Right.
And so, given a choice between trying to go back with all the injuries and issues that he had and play in Europe, or staying in the U.S. and going to work for CBS, he chose to stay in the U.S. At first, he had a 3-tournament contract. They wanted to try him out, understandably.
Sure, yeah.
And by the end of the 3 tournaments, they knew they had a star on their hands. And Lance Barrow, who was the producer at the time, was smart enough to put David on the ground, walking with the last group, instead of putting him in a tower, because that allowed him to talk to the players, to come up with funny lines, and also to be one of the very few people that Tiger Woods trusted.
Mm-hmm.
Because and David's theory on that is that he was one that rarest of people who never wanted anything from Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
He just wanted to do his job, and they eventually became friendly. I don't know if you say friends. I'm not sure Tiger has any friends, but they became friendly to the point where Tiger called David Farty, because they used to have farting contests on the golf course while Tiger was trying to win a golf tournament. And so it was a unique relationship, and I think people sensed that when David was doing his job during those days.
And then there's also a relationship with he and Seve that
well, different.
Okay, yeah.
Different, but as I said, David was on the '91 Ryder Cup team, and Seve was the leader of the European teams at that point. They'd beaten the U.S. in '85 and '87, and retained the cup by tying in '89. And of course, this was what the U.S. players dubbed the war by the shore. I'm not sure any golf tournament is a war, but they had to win. And every night in the team room, Seve would give the European players a pep talk. We're better than these guys.
Right.
We can beat these guys. And David vividly remembers the night before the singles, Seve giving him a shoulder massage and saying, "You're better than Payne. You can beat Payne. I know you can beat Payne." And him thinking, excuse me, wow, Seve and I are friends. How cool is this? Because Seve was and is a hero in Europe.
Yeah.
And he did go out and beat Payne Stewart the next day. And then the following week in Stuttgart, he ran into Seve in the locker room, and he said, "Oh, here comes my new best friend, Seve," and said, "Seve, how are you?" And Seve looked at him and said, "Donald, how's it going?" So maybe they weren't BFFs.
Right, maybe not. When you were, did his leaving CBS and going to Live, or leaving NBC?
Well, he went to NBC.
Yeah, leaving NBC and going to Live. Did this happen while you were doing the book?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because I was wrapping up the book, the writing, last July, and David texted me to let me know that he was getting ready to leave for Live. He was at the British Open and said, "This is going to be my last tournament for NBC, just so you know."
Mm-hmm.
So I texted him back and I said, "You mean to tell me I have to rewrite the end of this book just so you can make a couple million measly extra dollars?" And he texted me back and he said, "It's not a couple million measly extra dollars, because it's considerably more than that." And, I have a lot of mixed feelings about Liv, as I think we all do. But at least David didn't do the Phil Mickelson routine or some of the other players saying, "Oh, I'm doing this to grow the game of golf. I want to help the game of golf." David said, "I'm doing it for the blanket money." And that's David. David's honest, and he had 1 year left on his NBC contract.
Mm-hmm.
They were he knew they were retiring Roger Maltby and Gary Koch, who were in his age category. David will be 65 this summer. They had canceled his show, his interview show,
mm-hmm.
because Golf Channel has lost so much money in the last few years. They just have canceled almost anything of quality. And David's show was the best thing on Golf Channel.
It was an excellent.
Anybody disagrees with that.
You could put that show anywhere, and anybody would be interested in it.
Exactly, because it wasn't just golfers or golf, and it was people. And so he was wondering about his future with 1 year left on his contract, and Greg Norman came in and said to him, "We want you to be our John Madden." And David understood what that meant. He's lived in this country for 27 years now, and or excuse me, 30 years. And so he was intrigued by what Greg said, and then when the money came up,
he got really
and they
interested.
said they would restart Faraday, which they haven't done yet, but they said they would. He just felt he couldn't turn it down.
Now, where would they restart that, on their YouTube channel, or would that be on CW?
I don't know, and I don't think David knows. I'm having dinner with him tonight, so maybe I'll find out more, because they're in Washington this week.
We'll have breaking news on this, is what we
That would be great.
John will break news on this. Hey, I love talking to you anytime about anything, and most success on the world with this book, because it's a fascinating topic. It's a fascinating personality and a great story. And anything else you're working on right now, or?
Well, actually, I've started work on a book on Ivy League football.
Oh, wow!
And I know people in North Carolina are going to Ivy League football, but the Ivy League's unique, and not just because the kids are obviously bright to get into Ivy League schools, but it has unbelievable history, dating, as you know, to the 19th century. And here's a question I've been asking people: how many NFL players from the Ivy do you think there were from the Ivy League last season?
Last season,
yeah,
3.
Good guess, 22.
Oh, okay.
The Ivy League plays much better football than I think people understand, and I think the reason for that is because the silly presidents won't let them play postseason.
Right.
I mean, there have been Ivy League teams in recent years who could have made a dent in the FCS playoffs, but they never get the opportunity. They play 10 games, 10 weeks in a row, and that's it. That's the end of the season. And so I've actually interviewed 42 players at this point. I went to spring practices and 8 coaches. And
oh, wow.
I feel like I could. The book's going to, be written with the backdrop of this coming season, but I feel like I could sit down and write it right now. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's a kid from Greenville who went to Columbia and played. They had a really good year last year, and
they were 6-4.
Yeah, so I mean that was a big. So you kind of keep up with them, when you know kids that go there, and
right, absolutely.
It's
I'll tell you a quick funny story.
Yeah.
Al Bagnoli is now the coach at Columbia, and he was at Penn for 17 years and won, I think, 7 Ivy League titles during that period. And then he went to Columbia, which arguably has had the worst program in college football the last 50 years.
Yeah.
And I said, "What's the difference between coaching at Penn and Columbia?" And he said, "Well, at Penn, if we went 7-3, everybody would say, 'Geez, you had a rough season.' He said, 'At Columbia, we won 2 in a row. They wanted to build a statue to me.'"
That'll be a great book. I'm excited about it.
It's a fun project for sure.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
Hey, John,
as was Faraday. Faraday was a lot of fun too, for obvious reasons.
Just before we let you go, at this point, I know it's how you make a living, but are you a little more selective in what you want to write about now? I mean, you can kind of afford to be, I guess, but I mean, if it's not fun or interesting,
Well, I've been very lucky, Patrick, because Season on the Brink was my first book, and I never expected it to become a #1 bestseller, and it did. And because of that, for most of my career, I've been able to pick and choose my topics without having an editor say, "You ought to do this because it'll sell," or "You shouldn't do this because it might not sell." And that's why, knowing all the things I know about Bob Knight and having been called all sorts of names by Bob Knight, I can never completely thank him enough for the access he gave me to write Season on the Brink.
Yeah, because it started it all. Yeah,
it started it all, and as I said, I've had 23 bestsellers, so it's not like that's the only book I've ever written that had success. But that allowed me to go on and do the things that I chose to do, as opposed to having some editor telling me what to do.
Was the Season was that a tough sell, or how did that come about?
Well, it's funny you ask that, because 5 publishers rejected the idea.
Wow.
And the sixth publisher, Macmillan, a guy named Jeff Newman, offered me $17,500 as an advance, which meant I was taking a big pay cut from my job at the Washington Post. And my parents thought it was a terrible idea to do that. My boss, George Solomon, initially just said, no, you can't do that. And I said, George, this isn't a request, this is an announcement. And if I have to leave the paper to do the book, I will, because I really want to do it. And he backed down, fortunately. And I went and wrote the book, and you know the rest.
Yeah. Always great to talk to you. I mean that sincerely. I appreciate your friendship and your kindness just to come on the shows I host over the years. It really means a lot.
I'm glad to do it, Patrick, and thanks for having me on and letting me talk about the book.
Yep. Best of luck, John. We'll talk to you soon, I hope.
All right, Patrick. Take care.
Back to wrap it up right after this.
Facebook, Twitter, and more, plus listen or watch us live now on the new IBX Media app.
I love the app. Download the app.
Get it now in the App Store or Google Play. Patrick Johnson and the rest of the guys are back in minutes.
Inner Banks Media's Concert on the Common season continues. Are you ready?
Make some noise. 1, 2, 3. Enjoy live music with your friends and family, along with adult beverages and great food on Greenville's Town Common.
The next band to hit the stage at the Greenville Toyota Amphitheater is Landslide, a tribute to Fleetwood Mac, June 8th.
This year will also feature music from the Legacy Motown Review, The Embers featuring Craig Woolard, and the Leonard Skinner Tribute Band, Tuesday's Gone.
Details at concertonthecommon.org.
Special thanks to the City of Greenville and the Junior League of Greenville.
Concert on the Common is sponsored by ECU Health, Michelob Ultra, Pitt Greenville Airport, Greenville Toyota, The Air Doctor, Greenville Utilities, Sir Richie Law Firm, Sawyer's Fun Park, Holly Pilan State Farm Insurance, Eastern Plumbing, Town Bank, Specialty FDR, Optimum, Wells Roofing and Gutters,
and Inner Banks Media.
Time now for an update from Town Insurance. I've got my friend Jim Clement in the studio with me. Jim, great to see you. What's new at Town Insurance?
What's new, Henry, is our growth in this state. We have now exceeded $60 million in revenue with 300 employees over both states, Virginia and North Carolina. But North Carolina, our footprint goes from Corolla down to Wilmington, to Kinston, Greenville, Raleigh, and our newest operation in Charlotte.
So, Jim, what does that mean for all of your clients and friends in Eastern North Carolina?
Because of Town's massive resources, meaning access to more companies and markets, we are able to serve all of our clients right here in Eastern North Carolina with their personal lines, their commercial lines, their life and health needs, or their small business needs.
We continue to hear more and more about Town Insurance, and it's great to have you in here to give us an update today. How about people who aren't doing business with you right now in Eastern North Carolina? What would you say to them?
Come to Town today.
What's the telephone number?
756-8300.
Hello, Eastern North Carolina. I'm Matt Murchison here at Greenville Nissan. I'm along with Scotty.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
I'm well, buddy. How are you?
Man, this is an awesome day.
It is. We got a great selection of inventory with some great specials going on.
We really do. We have something that we don't normally have over the last 3 or 4 months,
That's
Matt.
right.
We have Nissan Sentras in stock, which is plenty to choose from. Folks, they're not going to last very long, and I'm going to give you a couple reasons why. 1, supply and demand. There aren't many of them out there. We're blessed to have some. 2, you're going to get more money for your trade right now than you ever have, even through the last 3 years of COVID. It's because of supply and demand. Matt, I know there's a lot of things you can tell us right now about lease payments.
Oh, yeah. We got a great lease special right now going on with the Sentra. We got a 0 down, $269 lease special right now going on the Sentra. We got a great lease special on the Rogue right now. No money down, $375 right there. The Pathfinder, no money down, $395. The Maxima, no money down, $375. It's a great time to come take advantage of these lease specials. Check out our website, greenvillenissan.com. Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Leases are 10,000 mile, 18 months, must pay tax, tag, title, and dock fee. See dealer for details.
And now, the stunning conclusion of the show. It's the P-Man here on 94.3 The Game.
The Pirates are playing tomorrow at 1 o'clock. You can hear the game right here on 94.3 The Game from Baycare Ballpark in Clearwater, Florida at 1 p.m. Airtime of 12:45 with Scooter and Coach O from Clearwater. And after the game, we'll be with you right here live with a breakdown of the matchup. Also get you ready for the big sports weekend over Memorial Day right here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Big thanks to John Feinstein today. Great job by John always. Don't forget his new book out on the Life of David Faherty, a must-read, available wherever you buy books, aptly titled Faherty. So you can check that out. Again, thanks to John Feinstein for taking a few minutes. We'll be back tomorrow, talking the town in the morning, and we will also be back here with you live at 5 tomorrow for the fresh edition of the Patrick Johnson Show. Have a good evening, everybody.
Hear 94.3 The Game anytime on the IBX Media app. Download it for free in the App Store or